What's up, Internet? Hello, welcome to XO service number 2. My name is Kenzie, and I'm so glad that you were able to take some time out of your day and join our service with us. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit the subscribe button so that you know whenever we post other content and services just like this one, because we want you to stay in the loop, okay? Also, if you're watching it live today, I want to see those comments flowing, okay? Let us know where you're at, what you're eating for dinner, or when Pastor Nick starts stepping on your toes. So let those comments go, alright? Last but not least, I want to encourage you guys to worship, sing out loud, and pray with us, okay? God doesn't care whether we're in our bedrooms by ourselves, in your living room with your family, or in the student center with 100 other people. It all sounds like worship to Him. Psalm 95:6 says, "Come, let us bow down and worship. Let us kneel before the Lord our Maker." Doesn't say anything fancy, doesn't say with other people, just says, "Come, let us worship." So let's go ahead and do that, all right? Let's worship.
Welcome to the XSM Wednesday night service online. Thank you for joining us. We're going to start with some worship, but first just let me pray. Jesus, we thank you so much for this opportunity, the ability to worship when we're so far apart. God, you bring us together, and we just thank you that you're worthy. You are worthy to be praised. The good, the bad, whatever happens, you are still worthy. Amen. Thank you for the cross that you have carried. Thank you for your blood that was spilled. Took the weight of sin upon your shoulders. Sacrificed your life so I could live. Now nothing is holding me back from you, Redeemer of my soul. Now nothing can hold me back from you. Your love will never let me go. Thank you for your death and resurrection. Thank you for the power of your blood. I am overwhelmed by your affection, the kindness and the greatness of your love. The kindness and the greatness of your love. Now nothing is holding me back from you, Redeemer of my soul. Now nothing can hold me back from you. Your love will never let me go. Jesus, you make all things new. Oh, Jesus, you make all things new. Yes, Jesus, you make all things new. Oh, Jesus, you make all things new. Now nothing can hold me back from you, Redeemer of my soul. Now nothing can hold me back from you. Your love never let me go. Your love will never let me go. down, take time, breathe in, he said. He'll reveal what's to come. The thoughts in his mind, always higher than mine. He'll reveal all to come. Take courage, my heart. Stay steadfast, my soul. He's in the waiting. He's in the waiting. Hold on to your hope as your triumph unfolds. He's never failing. He's never failing. Sing praise, my soul. Find strength in joy. Let his words lead you on. Do not forget his great faithfulness. Finish all he's begun. Take courage, my heart. Stay steadfast, my soul. He's in the waiting. He's in the waiting. Hold on to your hope as your triumph unfolds. He's never failing. He's never failing. Surely keep your promise to me that I will rise in your victory. It's you who hold the stars, who call them each by name. Will surely keep your promise to me that I will rise your victory. Take courage, my heart. Stay steadfast, my soul. He's in the waiting. He's in the waiting. Hold on to your hope as your triumph unfolds. He's never failing. He's never failing. You are never failing. You don't give up on me. You won't start now. You won't start now. Just a little while longer and I'll see you. Just a little while longer and I'll know you. Just a little and we'll be together. It's just a little while longer and I'll see you. It's just a little while longer and I'll know you. It's just a little while longer and we'll be together. My soul sings, my soul sings, my soul sings, how I love you. My soul sings, my soul sings, my soul sings, how I love you. How I love you. 'Cause all I want is just to know your heart, and won't you keep me here until we're one? All I want is just to know your heart, and won't you keep me here until we're one? And all I want is just to know your heart, and won't you keep me here until we're one? All I want is just to know your heart, and won't you keep me here until we're one? My soul sings, soul sings, my soul sings, how I love you. Soul sings, my soul sings, my soul sings, how I love you. Oh, how I love you. During this time, I'm just going to keep praying and playing. I just want to encourage you, if you see someone in the comments that you know that you don't know, I'm going to encourage you to just take the next minute to pray for them. If you have something that needs prayer, just put it up in the chat and just keep that prayer going. We build each other up. And if you see someone post a prayer, type in a response. Say, hey, I see you. I'm praying for you. Jesus, we just declare this to be yours. We give you this live stream. We give you our bedrooms, give you our living rooms, wherever we're watching this at, God. Would you invade that space? God, you don't exist in the confines of 4 church walls. God, you draw to where your people are. Your people are crying out for you. Would you just be there? We feel your presence. Amen. All right, I'm going to turn it now over to Cooper for an awesome game. Enjoy.
What is up, XSM? Wasn't that worship so good? I want to listen to it like 7 more times. It was that amazing. Blake, you're doing such a great job with that worship. It is so good. Today, we are going to have an awesome top 5 and a game coming up for you. So first, let's do the top 5. Now, I know you might be getting bored. Last week's top 5, I gave you random stuff to do, exercising, cooking stuff, learning a new instrument, reading a book. This week, I want to focus in on something you can do at home that everybody loves to do, and that's movie watching. Now, I wanted to give you the top 5 movies that I think you should watch some point this week. Now, these top 5 movies are some of my personal favorites. I know some of you have talked about them with me because they're so good, but these top 5 movies or movie categories, I've spoken too much too soon. These top 5 movies are some of the most amazing movies ever made, so let's just get right into it. Number 5, your top 5, number 5 movie that I think you guys should watch at some point this week is Back to the Future. Now, this movie is so good, and listen, I know you guys probably think it's old. All right, it was made in the 80s. But listen, Back to the Future is such a good movie. It's so weird to think about. He's going back to try and get his mom and dad together. It was just a crazy movie. I think you guys should watch it. I love Back to the Future. It is so awesome. Number 4 movie, we just talked about Back to the Future. Number 4 is a movie that I watched last night. I'm just like on a hype train right now because I watched it last night. I think they're so amazing. Number 4 is Star Wars. Now, here at my house, we have all 9 of the Star Wars movies. We are Star Wars fanatics. We love all of them. We have a Star Wars poster on the wall over there, just like this Jaws poster. But last night, my dad, I finally broke him down, and he bought the newest Star Wars movie, and we watched it last night. It was so good, but at my house, we've got all 9 of them. The original 3, then the 3 that were kind of, all right. And then the newest 3, guys, I want you all to watch the Star Wars movies. Okay, just as a personal favor to me, watch the Star Wars movies. They're so good. I can't even believe what I watched last night. My mind was like blown out of craziness. Go watch the Star Wars movies. Love them, like them. For me, not for XSM, for me. For Cooper, do it for me. All right, so we talked about Back to the Future, a great classic from the 80s. We talked about Star Wars, the lovely, awesome, just great movies. Now the next one, number 3, is a personal favorite of mine. It's kind of different, but I think you all love it. Pirates of the Caribbean. Pirates of the Caribbean movies are so much fun. We've got 3 of them here. Jack Sparrow and what they're all doing. It is such a fun story. So cool to watch how the movie changed throughout the times. You can watch the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. They're so good. I love them. I think you should watch. Let's get to number 2. This one's a good one. Number 2. I don't want to say. Okay, hold on. Number two. Brave. I don't want you to judge me. Yes, okay, it's a Disney movie about a Disney princess who shoots a bow and her mom turns into a bear. Ooh, spoiler alert. Guys, it is such a good movie. Seriously, this is my favorite Disney movie. This and Aladdin. Ooh, Aladdin could be on number 2 too. Aladdin, boom, right here. This movie is so good. If you don't have it, I think it's on Disney Plus. If you don't have Disney Plus, maybe you can borrow my copy. I love Brave. Brave is so good. It's my favorite. You can make fun of me if you want in the comments, but I don't care. I love Brave. Get off my back. Number 1 choice is Avengers. Avengers or any Marvel movie that you guys have at home. We've got a lot of movies in my house because we're a movie people. But we've got Infinity War. You can watch. That's a great one. Age of Ultron. Oh my gosh. Was this just Avengers, the original Avengers? Oh my. We've got Thor, Captain America, Iron Man. Oh, guys, if you don't watch the Avengers movies sometime this week, any Marvel superhero movie, I don't know what you're doing with your time. All right, guys, that was our top 5 movies. We had some great ones on there, some of my personal favorites, some movies I want you to watch. But now we're going to play a game, and we are sticking to the trivia. And I've got some great questions for you today. Some weird ones, some ones that surprised me. I was like astonished, honestly, by some of them. I didn't even know. I was like, I didn't even know what to do. Seriously. So question number 1 on the trivia. Question number 1: what is a hashtag technically called? Like the hashtag XSM. You should put in the comments down low. Hashtag XSM online. Hashtag Nick is amazing. Hashtag Cooper's awesome. Hashtag. What is a hashtag technically called? The options are A, a hashtag. Okay, obvious. A hashtag. B, an octuple. C, hash browns. Or D, a pound. So is A a hashtag, B an octuple, C hash browns, or D a pound? I don't know about this one. It's B an octuple or an octhrop. I don't know. It said it's some fancy word that means 8-line thing. Whatever. Instead of saying hashtag now, you should all start saying octuple. That's what you guys should say. All right, question number 2. I hope you're 1 for 1. Question number 2. How many folds are in a chef's hat? Now, I don't know if you've seen Ratatouille, another one of my favorites. In a chef's hat, they have these big white hats that go up and they look like big circles and there's folds all over them. All right, so how many folds, how many little pleatlets, folds are in a chef's hat? Is A, 100, B, 50, C, none, or D, 200? Say that again. A, 100, B, 50, C, none, or D, 200? The answer is A. It's A. A, 100. Obviously 100, right? I had no idea. Apparently it's 100, representing how many ways you can cook an egg. I don't know about you, but I got about 2 ways to cook an egg. See, I got scrambled, delicious, put a little cheese, maybe a little garlic powder, salt, pepper, scrambled, or 2 sunny side up. Those are 2. Now, I'd have 2 folds in my hat. I don't know about 100 ways. That's ridiculous. All right, question number 3. What is the national animal of Scotland? The national animal of Scotland, wonderful place. Scotland, never been there, want to go. National animal of Scotland is A, wolfhound. It's like a big dog. It's a nice dog. I think it's like a pet, not like a wolf. A wolfhound. B, a red stag. It's like a deer, but bigger, kind of like an elk. A red stag. C, a mink. Kind of like a small weasel, ferret thing, a mink. Or D, a unicorn. All right, now what you think about this one? Wolfhound, okay, red stag, mink, or unicorn. I want you to make a decision right now what your answer you think is going to be. You got your answer? That's what I thought. D, unicorn. What? Okay, sorry. I said a little, it's whatever. I'm fine. It's fine. Apparently, the unicorn represents purity, chivalry, and its ties to its old Celtic folklore. All right, question number 4. If you drive south, down towards Mexico, south, from Detroit, Michigan, you will enter A, Canada, B, Ohio, C, Chicago, or D, Indiana. A, Canada, B, Ohio, C, Chicago, or D, Indiana. The answer is Canada. What? I was honestly astonished. I didn't even know. I was on my computer reading that, and I was like, oh my gosh. I don't know what I learned in geography class, but apparently Canada is south of the United States. All right. 5th and final question of the trivia for today. I hope you learned something. I hope you got something new out of the unicorn thing. Blew me away. The south of the Detroit blew me away. I didn't even know. Ontario. It was ridiculous. All right, 5th and final question. What was the first soft drink, soda, to go into space? The first soft drink to go into space. It is A, Fanta, the orange drink. B, A&W root beer. Love it, delicious. C, Coca-Cola, Coke, okay? Or D, Pepsi. A, Fanta, B, A&W root beer, C, Coca-Cola, or D, Pepsi. The answer is C, Coca-Cola. Obviously, Coke made it to space first. Crazy how it happened. Everybody loves Coke, but it's all right. It's so cool. It's great. Guys, I had so much fun with you doing a top 5 in a game. I hope you learned a little something crazy. I know I did. But let's jump straight to some announcements real quick, and I will catch you later.
What is up, guys? It's your boy Angelo with a couple of quick announcements. We had an amazing week of XSM Online, and we're going to continue to do so by providing you with live and interactive content right here at 7 p.m. every single day and over on our Instagram story at 7 at XSM_KC. I want to remind you of our goal as a student ministry is that this will be a home for you to be made and to what? Fill in the blank in the comments. I don't know what side they're on. Fill in the blank. XSM is a home for you to be made and to multiply, guys. You can multiply with us by inviting your friends to like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Now, get ready for another amazing at-home message from the man, Pastor Nick Adams.
Hey XSM, welcome tonight, or for those of you that are guests that came across our YouTube channel, or parents that are watching, or maybe you're a youth pastor that are checking out how other youth ministries are doing youth ministry during this crazy time. Whoever you are, welcome. There is no better time for us to get together and to worship and to dive deeper into the Word of God. It's a good week. Hey, here's what I want you to do. I know it's been a long week since we've been with each other, but if you're watching live right now, what I want you to do is I want you to go to the comment section right now, and I want you to go share something about your favorite part of the week while you've been in quarantine, or if you're watching later, maybe comment below what's been your favorite part of this week and what's been going on. And while you guys do that, I'll go ahead and share a little bit about my favorite part of the week. So this week, and it's going to be a little confusing. Mind you, it's going to start out as maybe a rambling rant from an old man, okay? But like, it ends up being my favorite part of the week for real. So like, around Christmas, or on Christmas actually, my wife and I bought our boys their very first basketball goal. So their very first basketball goal, and it was an in-ground basketball goal. So like you have to actually dig a hole like 32 inches deep. You have to put like a cinder block at the bottom. You have to put the pole in, and then you have to pour about 500 pounds of concrete into this hole so that it will stand up and withstand kids dunking on it, shooting, all that stuff. Okay, so we bought it for them for Christmas. It's 3 months later, and we still have not put up the goal because I'm blaming it fully, okay? I'm blaming it fully on living in Kansas, okay? Because you need 3 good days, about 3 good days to put up a basketball goal for weather-wise, for the concrete to cure right, for you to dig the hole so it doesn't rain and fill up the hole with water. And you need 3 good days for that. And if you live in Kansas, you know that you might, in January, February, after Christmas, you may get 1 good day. You maybe, if you're lucky, you maybe will get 2 good days, but 3 good days, come on, like it just doesn't happen, right? Not even in March. And so we haven't had the opportunity yet with good enough weather where we didn't have things going on in our schedule to put the basketball goal in. Well, guess what? Earlier this week, we've been stuck in the house, right? We've been quarantining, and we looked at this weekend and we thought, oh my goodness, look at that weather. Like that is the perfect weather for us to put a basketball goal in for our boys. Right now, they're stuck in the house. It gives them something new to do. And so this is it. This is it. So Friday came, y'all. Friday came, and that was the day I pegged. I'm like, this is it. And guess what? Beautiful. Beautiful weather, like 65, 75 degrees. I'm getting ready to go outside with the boys. They're excited. They're so hyped. And Desiree goes, oh, babe, it says it's supposed to rain tonight. And I'm like, no, come on, why? Like, no, like we've been waiting all this time. It's supposed to rain tonight. Are you kidding me? Like, this has got to be a joke. We have been waiting this whole time, and I'm like, okay, but that's fine. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, right? Like, we're still good. We got 3 days of good weather, and it says, the weather people, the all-knowing weather people say that it's going to be beautiful Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Well, we wake up Saturday, okay? 10:30 in the morning, we go outside. We have breakfast, we go outside, and we start digging the hole. Me and my boys start digging. It was so fun, like just the excitement of getting to dig, and then we got a little bit deeper, and it got, come on, but finally we hit our depth that we needed, and it was about 12:30, and we get done with this hole, maybe 12:30 or 1, maybe 1:30, I don't remember exactly. But it was right near the end of us getting done with digging this hole when all of a sudden these huge gusts of wind come. And they're literally knocking you over, and bags. My wife was gardening and she had all these weeds in a bag, and the bag just goes tumbling over, end over end over end. Our stinking neighbors, they turned on the sprinklers. And we're outside, they turn on the sprinklers, and the wind is blowing so hard, I don't think any of their water made it onto their lawn. It blew all over our lawn and all over us, so we're getting soaked as we're working outside from their sprinklers, and it's just I'm getting so frustrated, okay? Mind you, by the way, it didn't even rain the night before. The weather people were wrong, they were wrong, and so it didn't rain the night before. And then we're sitting there in this windstorm, and Des, they said there's a wind advisory. I'm no kidding, a wind advisory, 45, 50 mile an hour gusts of wind are gonna come through. And I'm I can't put this pole in the ground and pour concrete and then expect it to stay straight. So I'm we're gonna have to wait until tomorrow. And Des said, hey babe, I got more bad news for you. Monday night, Tuesday morning, it's supposed to rain. And I'm you gotta be kidding me. Are you serious right now? Are you serious? Is this happening? And we literally, so we have to make this decision to put the pole in. Are we gonna put the pole in while it's windy and it might get knocked over, it might not be straight? Or are we gonna put the pole in on Sunday afternoon after church and risk that the concrete that needs 48 hours to cure with the perfect weather is going to get rained on and may compromise its consistency or its firmness? And we had to make this decision. We decided to do it on Sunday, and we put the pole in on Sunday. And I'm the weather people were wrong once, they're going to be wrong again. And we're putting this pole in, and we can't get it straight. And I'm pouring concrete for the very first time because, y'all, I am not a handyman. Not at all. I've never dealt with concrete. I don't build things, but I'm doing this for my boys because I love them. And by the time we get done, finally we get it up. We get it up, the pole's up, and it's a beautiful day. And the chances of rain are gone. But by the time I get it up, I am so frustrated. I at one point I just say, I'm done. I'm done. I am so done. Why is everything against me right now? Why? Why is everything against me? And I remember getting frustrated. I'm could it get any worse? And as I was thinking about this story later, after I calmed down, because I'm not in the midst of frustration, I'm not ready for this deep God moment. I gotta settle down. So after I settled down, I kind of chuckled a little bit at the situation, and Des and I both laughed about it, and because I thought about what we're talking about right now in our sermon series. We're on a sermon series called Silver Linings, which is talking about seeing God in the gray. In the midst of frustrating circumstances, in the midst of things that we can't control, how can we see God in the midst of the gray? And we're walking through, if you're walking with us, we're walking through Acts chapter 22 through 28. We're encouraging you, read it on your own, chapter 22 through 28. Read it on your own so that God can be speaking to you through the story of a man named Paul who just got thrown into prison. That's where we left him off last week. And so as I'm chuckling, I'm thinking about my situation. How could it get any worse? And I think about Paul. What we talked about last week. Paul is thrown into prison, unjustly so, for something that he didn't even do. The Jews thought that he had brought a Gentile, an unrepentant Gentile, into the temple, and they got really frustrated, threw up their arms, they created a mob, and they were beating him. They were beating him and beating him and beating him to the point where he could have died
and the Roman soldiers step in. And they end up actually arresting Paul to save his life because they're worried he's going to get beaten to death by the Jews. So they arrest him, but they don't know why they're arresting him. They just assumed he did something wrong because all these Jews are up in arms. And so they arrest him, they pull him away, and this mob of Jews are like chanting for him, like they think he deserves to die. And so here's where we pick up today in Acts chapter 22. Paul says to them, the Roman soldier, he says, let me talk to them. Let me talk to them. And so in Acts chapter 22, he begins to share his story. He begins to share how he persecuted Christians and how when he was walking along the road one day, Jesus appeared to him and he experienced the very real nature of Jesus, of God himself. And it changed him. It changed him. So he's telling the Jews this story about how he once persecuted and killed Christians, but now he was a Christian. They were listening so intently. Like Paul had them eating out of the palm of his hands because this is not a story that you hear every day. And so as he's telling this story, he comes to the end of the story, and this is where we pick up in Acts chapter 22, verse 21. And he says this, he says, then the Lord said to me, go, I will send you far away to the Gentiles, not to the Jews, to the Gentiles. It was almost as if he was preaching a message, sharing a story, and then he cussed right in the middle of it. The Jews were not, that was like the worst thing he could have said in that moment. And in verse 22, it says, the crowd listened to Paul until he said this. Then they raised their voices and shouted, rid the earth of him. Rid the earth of him. He's not fit to live. And as they were shouting and throwing off their cloaks and flinging dust into the air, were you listening to that? They were shouting, they were disrobing, like they're getting naked, like throwing their cloaks off in the air, and they're throwing dust in the air. Like this is a little much, okay? Like this is just a little too much. Like this is like crazy town. They're getting so frustrated. It says, as they're disrobing and throwing dust in there, the commander ordered Paul to be taken back to the barracks. It didn't work. Whatever he said didn't work, right? And then the commander directed that he be flogged and questioned in order to find out why the people were shouting at him like this. So there's clearly upset Jews. They're frustrated, angry at him. They're against him. And then the story thickens. Like it gets even like crazier. Because the commander takes him away and takes him into prison. And then in Acts 23, it says the next morning something happened. So he's with the Roman guards. And the Jews, the next morning in Acts 23, verse 12, it says, the next morning the Jews formed a conspiracy and bound themselves with an oath not to eat or drink until they had killed Paul. Woo-hoo-hoo. You ever had a mob that has they don't just say I want to kill you. You ever had somebody at school that's like, I want to kill you, okay, or I'm gonna kill you, like the empty threat? Like this was like, they made an oath. And when Jews make an oath, they mean it. They made an oath not to eat or drink until they had killed Paul. More than 40 men were involved in this plot. They went to the chief priests and elders and said, we have taken a solemn oath not to eat anything until we have killed Paul. Now then, you and the Sanhedrin petition the commanders to command them to bring him before you on the pretext of wanting more accurate information about his case. We are ready to kill him before he gets here. So, the Jews not only beat him to an inch of his life, not only had him arrested, but now they are actively plotting an assassination attempt on an innocent man that did absolutely nothing wrong. If you were Paul, I would think that you would be asking yourself this question. I mean, the Romans are against you, right? The Romans have arrested you, and they're the ones that are keeping you. So his people, the Romans, are holding him. His people, the Jews, are against him, trying to kill him and assassinate him, I'm sure that he had the question where I was asking the question, why is everything against me? Like during this stupid basketball goal installation, I bet you Paul had every right in the world to ask the question, why is everyone against me? Why is everyone against me? What did I do? Have you ever, let me ask you a question, have you ever said that or thought that? Why is everyone against me? Maybe you're dealing with a bully at school, or you're dealing with drama with friends, and at some point in the midst of the most heated argument, when you feel like everyone is against you, whether they're actively plotting against you or whether they're an innocent bystander letting the drama happen. Maybe you're older, maybe you're an adult and you're working a job and you feel like everyone else is getting promoted ahead of you. Maybe you're on a sports team and you feel like everyone else is better than you and you're getting looked over. Maybe you feel like you're just not acknowledged or loved by your parents, and you feel like your siblings get more attention. And you ask yourself, the answer is yes, of course we ask that. We're human, right? We're human. Like we ask the question, why is everyone against us? I think that Paul probably has more of a justification to ask that question than we do. But his response in the act of all this playing out is really, really intriguing. And I want us to look at some scriptures that Paul talks about, but I also want to take some lessons to heart about maybe how we should respond when we feel like everyone is against us in the midst of conflict and drama and quarrels and maybe misperceptions. And so today I want to talk about the 3 most important things to ask yourself when you feel like everyone seems to be against you. Okay, the 3 most important things to ask yourself when you feel like everyone is against you. Are you ready? Okay, if you're taking notes, go ahead and write these down, because I think that in the midst of this drama or conflict or whatever it is, when you're like, why is everyone against me? I want you to press pause, and then ask these questions. Okay, the first one is this is an important one. The first one is, are they really? Like seriously, like are they really? In the midst of you feeling like, why is everyone against me? The first question is, are they really? Because I think if we didn't act on emotion and we sat back for a second and re-asked that question, we would maybe notice that, yeah, not everyone is really against me. Here's what I've learned over the last, over my lifetime, whether I've been a teenager, whether I've been on sports teams in schools, in college, being on sports teams and in clubs, and dealing with different friendships, or whether it's as a youth pastor over the last decade or so of dealing with conflict amongst people, I've learned that there's always a misperception somewhere in the middle. Like somewhere in the middle, the 2 sides are misperceiving what the other side is feeling. This is super common. Like I will have somebody come up to me and they'll say, or I'll mention somebody to them. So let's say that, I mentioned this person to them and they'll say, ooh, yeah, I don't know. I don't think I can work with them. Or, oh, they're really they frustrate me because they say they hate me. Like they don't like me. They don't like me, Pastor Nick. I'm like, really? They don't like you? That person doesn't, I've never noticed that they don't like you. I'm so sorry. Like, I'm so sorry that they don't like you. Why do you think they don't like you? And they'll say, well, so-and-so did this to me. Like, so-and-so did this to me. And I'll be like, oh man, I'm so sorry. Like, I had no idea that you had this conflict. And I'm like, okay, well, thanks for letting me know. Like, if you need help, like, maybe I could talk to them, whatever. No, don't talk to them. Don't talk to them. Don't, right? They never want me to talk to them. Well, sometime later, maybe I'm seeing this person and like something comes up and I'll be like, hey, like, is everything okay with you and so? Like, I heard that maybe you don't like them or something like that. No, Pastor Nick, like, I don't not like them. I don't hate them. What are they going to say? They hate me. I'll be like, oh man, like I heard that you didn't like them, like because like you did this and this and this to them. and they'll say, oh my gosh, like I didn't, like that wasn't meant for them. And they'll explain the situation and their perspective on how it went down. And they'll say, yeah, I did those things, but that's not what I meant. I didn't even know that they perceived that. And somewhere along the way, the two sides have this different perception about how their relationship has taken place and the offense that's in the middle of everything. And somewhere there's been this misperception. And I think a lot of times that's what seems to happen. Like we have this misperception of what takes place and we think everyone is against us and we're like in the middle of this conflict or this frustration, this drama, and we need to ask ourselves like, are they really? Are they really? Especially right now, right? Like we're dealing with a lot of social media. Like in our regular world, our non-COVID-19 world, we deal with social media all the time. And we text all the time. Can I tell you, and comment in the section below or beside or below, like if I'm speaking the truth, how easy is it to misinterpret information online? Whether that's a picture somebody posted and you're like, oh, I didn't get invited to the party, or whether that's in a text message thread and they said something and they didn't mean what they said, but because you can't see their face and you can't hear, why do you think emojis are there, right? Like it's people that are making these devices that recognize that we're missing the human touch that really is important to good communication. And so like something happens and then like this conflict is birthed from it. The other day I was texting with some of our team at church. We were texting about this YouTube channel and we were talking about the best way to go about it. And I was like, and they said, let's put it as like under Cross Points, the sermon thing, or the sermons at Cross Point Church, whatever, like rather than you having your own separate channel. I said, great, that sounds awesome. And we were just discussing the best strategy. And one of the persons on our team says, it's called branding. Like, that's what they said. It's called branding. Like, and I read that as like, it's called branding, Nick, you stupid doof. Like, that's how I read it. Like, it's called branding. And I was like, my gosh, I know what branding is. Like, I understand what branding is. And so I said, haha, I wasn't disagreeing with you. A little sassy though, huh? Because I was gonna call it out and I was just making a joke about it, but also like recognizing that was a little rude. And the person was like, aha, no, that wasn't sassy. That's what it's called on YouTube. It's actually called, it's under the branding section. And so what this person was conveying was factual evidence, like factual information. And what I heard it as was this emotional thing, right? How many times does that happen where we need to step back and be like, hold on a second. Maybe that's not really what it means. They unfriended you on Facebook. They unfollowed you on Instagram or Twitter, Snapchat, whatever. And we take offense to that. Is everyone really against you? Like we have to ask that question. Are they really? So here's what I think that we need to know. First, we have to learn to believe the best in people when it comes to this. We have to learn to believe the best in people rather than assume the worst. Okay, that's an important part of interacting with people. The second thing is this. We need to learn to confront people and ask for their side of the story rather than assuming the worst. If we confronted people, and not in like a mean way, but just said like a statement like, ouch, that hurt. Like if we just said like something and gave them an opportunity to explain, I bet you that we would find if we confronted our problems, we would find out we don't have half the problems that we have. For real. And when you resist, problems persist. Like when you resist that conflict and that asking, hey, why did you say this? Or what? Like, then we'll never find out the truth of what's actually happening. Why is everyone against me? Are they really? Are they really? Okay, that's the first question. The second one is this. Does it really matter? Okay, does it really matter? If they are against you, and I know, like, you're about to blow up the comment chain. You're going to say, yes, Pastor Nick, it does matter. Like, high school is my life. I have to go to school with these people every day. Yes, it really does matter. And I say to you, yeah, it does matter. Like, it does. I get that. But at the same time, does it really matter to the degree that we make it as big of a deal as it is. And here's Paul. Okay, I want to jump back to Paul in Colossians chapter 2, verse 6. Colossians chapter 2, verse 6. He writes this letter, right? He writes Colossians and Philippians and Philemon while he is going through this entire ordeal, while he's in jail for 2.5 years, while he's shipwrecked on an island. Like, he writes these letters. And so his perspective is really important in this moment. He is not writing it on a cloud nine. He is writing it in the midst of chaos and in the midst of being wronged by people and everyone. He has every right to say, why is everyone against me? And he says this to us in Colossians 2:6. Just as you accepted Christ Jesus as your Lord, you must continue to follow him. Let your roots grow down into him and let your lives be built on him. Then your faith will grow strong in the truth you were taught, and you will overflow with thanksgiving. Don't let anyone capture you with empty philosophies and high-sounding nonsense. Okay, so Paul's talking about a deeper level here, but don't let people capture you with nonsense of this world. Don't let them capture you with the drama. Like, does it really matter? We have to learn that our lives cannot be rooted and grounded in the disapproval and the chorus of many. Our heart cannot mourn the disapproval of the crowd and also be grounded in the approval of Christ. Let me say that again. Our heart cannot mourn the disapproval of the crowd and yet still be grounded in the approval of Christ. We cannot be so overcome when people disapprove of us. When that becomes our heart motivation, then we lose the ability to be grounded firmly on the approval of Christ when we're so worried about the disapproval of man. I was my first year of youth ministry, I had the opportunity to preach at a Christian school. And at this Christian school, we had different students that were coming to our youth ministry, and they were like, oh, you're going to come speak at chapel. That's super awesome. And they said, just a warning, our Bible teacher, in our Bible classes, they always go over the sermon that the pastor preached at chapel. And if they say anything that was maybe unbiblical or something he disagreed with philosophically, he's going to vet it out in class. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that is super nerve-wracking. I'm 23 years old. I know the Bible, but I haven't studied the Bible. I know the Bible a lot more now today. I feel much more comfortable. And so I got so worked up. I was so nervous to go in and preach at chapel because I was worried about the disapproval of this Bible teacher and then spreading it to all the students oh, Pastor Nick, he preached this unbiblical philosophy. I'm like, okay. I worked really hard, make sure the sermon was perfect. It was a great sermon. I was using my favorite story, Joseph from the Bible and Potiphar's wife and getting thrown in prison. And I was ready. I was super ready. Everything I was saying was on point with scripture, and I knew that it was right, okay? But I'm so nervous as I get up to present. I get up and I'm preaching, and I keep saying David instead of Joseph. Okay, I know the story of Joseph. It's my favorite story since I was a kid, but I just kept saying David, and then I would get tongue-tied. I'm like, no, I mean Joseph, not David, Joseph. And I'm freaking out, and then I get to Potiphar, and I call Potiphar the Pharaoh, which he's actually not. He's not the Pharaoh, right? He's the head of the guards and the captain of the guards. And I called Potiphar's wife, the Pharaoh's wife. And I'm just freaking out. I get done. I'm sweating. I pray. I end. And I'm walking out of the door and I see the Bible teacher following after me. I'm like, oh my gosh, he's gonna rip into me, be like, didn't you know it was Joseph? And of course, Potiphar's wife is not the Pharaoh's wife. It's the head of the guard's wife. And so I'm freaking out. And he comes up to me, I turn around, I'm like, hey, and he goes, hey, great job today. I just want to say thank you so much for coming to speak. And I'm like, hey, I'm so sorry for getting tongue-tied and saying David and not Joseph. And I know that it's not the Pharaoh, but it's the head of the guards. And he said, who cares? Who cares about all that stuff, Pastor Nick? You spoke a word and it spoke to the teams. They know what you were talking about. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, this whole time I had been so consumed with the disapproval of man that I let it affect the way that I sought after God's approval. And I think we do that a lot. We change things and we worry about things and we stress about things because we're so worried about what other people think. One of my favorite quotes is this, of all time. It says, "It is better to have God's approval than to have the world's applause." It is better to have God's approval than the world's applause. So does it matter? Yeah, it matters when we feel like people are all against us. But does it really matter in the grand scheme of things? No, God's approval is the foundation of what we should strive for. All right, last question, then we're going to end. Okay, last question we need to ask. Last question. Okay, the first one, are they really against you? Second one, does it really matter? Yes, it matters, but does it really matter in the grand scheme of things? And then lastly, number 3, the third question is, how can I not take it personal and be more personable in response? Okay? How can I not take it personal and be more personable in response to those that are coming at us, to those that are against us, to those that want our head, that are looking to assassinate us? Okay, we probably don't have the same problems as Paul, right? But whatever that issue is, right? How can we not take it personal and be more personable in response? I think we should ask the question for our enemies, for those that we feel like we have conflict to, how can we stump them? Where they think, why is he or she responding this way? I've been so nasty. I've been so mean. Our goal as believers should be to stump people to thinking why are they responding that way? Paul is having a super rough go of it, right? He has every excuse in the world. Not only has been arrested for something he didn't do, but his life is at stake. People are trying to kill him. The Romans aren't for him. They keep him in prison even though they don't know why. The Jews are trying to kill him the moment he gets out. And in Philippians chapter 2, he says this, and I want us to listen as we close. Philippians chapter 2, verse 1, he says this: "Is there any encouragement to belonging to Christ? Any comfort from his love? Any fellowship together in the Spirit? Are your hearts tender and compassionate? Then make me truly happy by agreeing wholeheartedly with each other, loving one another, and working together to be one mind and purpose." And he says, don't be selfish. Don't try to impress others. Be humble, thinking of others as better than yourself. Don't look out for your own interest, but take an interest in others too. You must have the same attitude that Christ Jesus had. Paul understood that the offense that he should have had was not his to hold, but it was God's to take. The offense that the Jews took against him, the offense that the Roman soldiers, everything that he was justified, and he knew it was not his to hold, but God's to take, and he could relieve himself of that baggage. He said, our goal is to live in harmony and peace with one another. So when everyone feels like they're against us, our job is to disperse love. Our ability to disperse love must be greater than our desire to display hurt. Can I say that again? Our ability to disperse love must be greater than our desire to display hurt. I know life isn't perfect. Paul understands life isn't perfect. His relationship with the people in this story has a deep-seated hurt, but he had a perspective that I think we have to learn to take. I don't know where you've been, what drama you've dealt with, what hurt you're dealing with. I don't know what baggage you carry, but you do, and God does. So today, I want you to ask yourself those questions about the past, but also as we move forward into a new future, right? When everyone seems like they're against us, does it really matter? Are they really? And how can we learn to not take a personal offense and instead react more personably the way that Jesus did? So that's a challenge. That's a challenge that I want you to take to heart. But we know that God is always for us as we move forward. Let me pray for you. Lord God, I pray for these students, parents, pastors, leaders. God, I pray that as we try to live in harmony, peace, and love with one another, so that we, as Paul had just a fantastic vision of, can begin to move the gospel into the future. God, that we can see more and more lives being saved. God, together we are better than apart. So God, would we work together and not let the little minor nitty-gritty things, to let the little pesky dramas, to let the little hurts and offenses, God, to eat away at the unity that you desire to bring amongst us together. So God, I pray that over these students and everyone listening. In your name we pray. Amen. XSM and all of our guests watching, we will see you next Wednesday night. I hope you have a fantastic week.